Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about completely fresh kit from Eduard, and it comes in 1/48 scale. Surprisingly, it is released as a Profipack first, but I guess we will see some limited edition later. But this is a new F4F-3 Wildcat in 1/48 scale. It should be quite an interesting offering because some manufacturers were trying to release their versions, but we all know that Eduard will release something even more interesting, and this kit was actually designated as a, let's say, pair or rival to this one, Zero, which we reviewed as well, and you can find all the reviews in our YouTube channel. But today we are going to talk about this Wildcat, and we have a commercial sample here, so it means we will get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review, and we are going to open this nice box and check what is actually included inside. By the way, I wonder if this box art will be available as a poster, because usually Eduard does their box arts as a posters as well, so this one will be really cool to put on the wall. And here on the side you can find some information about the manufacturer, also website of the brand, and kit number is 82201. On the opposite side you'll find 6 marking options, so we'll check them later when we will be talking about the assembly manual, because usually they are supplied as extensive marking guides inside. So this is a top opening box, and inside you can see that all frames are separated into several plastic bags, so we will be checking them one by one. Obviously we will start with the clear plastic sprue, which is supplied in a separate Ziploc bag, so it should be quite easy and quick to open. Just give me a second. Okay, so here it is. And because this is a Profipack, you shouldn't be worried about any masking problems, because masks are usually included in the Profipacks. And here, as you can guess, we have various Canopy parts, so I would rather zoom in as much as we can and check it all a bit closer than what we are doing usually. So as you can see, we have the possibility to open the canopy, and if I bring these parts even closer on my hand, you'll be able to see that the canopy parts, they are looking really good. We have the rivets in all necessary spots. The same can be said about these main sections, and in my opinion this is really good that we get masks out of the box, because canopy is a bit tricky. I don't like to cut in all these tiny squares and triangles, so definitely such bonus will speed up the assembly process. And next thing is the separate plastic bag with the first gray plastic sprue, so I'm opening it right now. Just give me a moment. Let's put this clear sprue aside, and I suggest we start with the fuselage parts. So as you can see, both fuselage halves are molded together with the tail fin, and we have the frontal cowling section or nose area molded as a separate sub-assembly, so I guess it will be assembled out of separate panels. And what else is interesting is that here I guess we will have insert which will be holding wings in place, but we have also these guiding triangles on both halves, which will help you to align properly the wings from both sides. We have recessed panel lines, we have rivets, and all these features are up to the modern standards from Eduard, so there is nothing to be worried about. If I bring it closer, you will understand what I'm talking about, and they look really great. They're not too shallow, so you will not lose them under a layer of primer and paint, so it's also good. And let's flip it over. Inside here we can see that we have also some guiding elements, which are really handy in 1/48 scale, because it might be a bit tricky to combine them all together. And what we also have is some guiding elements for the cockpit. I guess cockpit will be as a separate sub-assembly which will be inserted in between fuselage halves. But attachment points are really thin. Maybe I can bring closer this cockpit area so that you can check what we actually have here. It also looks great. And all in all, I think this is another great example of modern engineering from Eduard, so it should be easy to work with. And as you remember, Zero was also a good looking kit, so I guess that might be a nice pair to have, and maybe they will actually produce the limited edition dedicated to such combo. Next, we continue with the second gray plastic sprue. So first thing that you will notice immediately is that flaps are pre-molded, but we have separate ailerons. And in 1/48 scale it might look a bit strange, but usually Eduard supplies it as a separate aftermarket add-on. So just give me a second, I'll try to, increase the brightness. So, as a separate add-on, we will get the flaps, we will review with them and in the separate video review, because I have this set, so it will be as a separate video. Here you can take a closer look at the external features. So again, we have recessed panel lines and rivets, and everything looks really great. We have attachment points on the leading edge and the wing root area. That's the top half, by the way. And if I flip it over, inside you'll find also some guiding elements which will help you with the proper alignment of these parts. Obviously, you'll have to install some internals as well in order to replicate the main wheel wells. No, main wheel wells should be in the fuselage as far as I remember, but here you can take also a closer look at the external features. Note that we have also the different levels of these panels on the wing, which is also a nice touch, and some of the rivets, they're actually raised, as you can notice, so that's also a great thing to have in a 1/48 scale. Believe me, it will be noticeable if you apply the right painting and weathering methods here. So I will leave this one here, and I will open the next plastic bag in the meantime. So just give me a second, because here we have another 3 sprues out of gray plastic. I guess such packaging is, let's say, hints on the possible assembly or aircraft versions, so that it will be easier to get the necessary parts for this or that version of the Wildcat. But here we continue with another gray plastic sprue. So a lot of types of the cowling panels. We have also 2 types of the frontal section. We have engine included here out of the box, and by the way, we have also here the 3rd type of the front cowling engine. Also, I can see a lot of parts for the power plant area, and this is quite interesting because it hints that maybe you can also open the cowling somehow, who knows, but let's zoom in so that you will be able to see what I'm talking about. So here you can take a look at all these parts. Maybe we'll open the lenses so that it won't be that dark for you. But all in all, I like the molding quality, and to be honest, it's really surprising to see the engine parts included out of the box. So all this stuff will definitely come handy for the fine details on your aircraft. And also note, for example, this thin framing for the cockpit, it also looks great. And such design, one-piece part, it should be easier to work with than trying to align the separate plastic bars or maybe even making it out of the metal wire. And here you can see also one-piece propeller. So if we flip it over, inside you can see also some guiding elements for the cowling parts. Obviously the engine parts will be also aligned with help of quite interesting engineering, so there are some special tabs and pins which will keep everything properly aligned, so there is nothing to be worried about. And overall molding quality, again, it looks great, and it's on par what we are used to see with recent Eduard kits. Next we continue with another sprue. So here we have the tail wings, we have also fuel tanks, and look how glossy they are, so they're really nicely polished. Here we have another part. I think this one is not for the cockpit, it's for the landing gear maybe? We'll have to check. Because frankly speaking, I'm not a Wildcat specialist, but it will be interesting to see where this part actually goes. And here you can take a closer look at all these parts, so pretty much the same molding quality and the overall engineering. I like how the parts division is done here. Let's check also the wing or tail wings from inside. As you can see, we have the guiding elements as well as in the fuel tank house. So this is also quite a handy stuff, and it means that it will be easier to align all these complex things together. Next we have the last gray plastic sprue, and here comes quite a tricky bit. So as you remember, I said we will have the special tab for supporting the wings, so here it is. It means that the fuselage halves, they will be basically inserted onto these 2 large tabs, and this is quite an interesting design. We also have some frames for the cockpit, I guess, and a lot of bulkheads which will be installed here and there, so that's also quite a great thing. And do not forget that you get all these things in original plastic, so you don't have even to use the P parts. And this is a Profipack, so we should have some P parts, and that will be quite an interesting thing to check, because I mean, P parts should add even more, and I wonder what can be added here. But next here you can also see Cockpit 4 and some of the subframes which will be used for the aircraft. As far as I can guess, not all the parts will be employed obviously, but still it is really nice engineering here out of the box. Next we have a separate plastic bag with masks. As you remember, I said we are dealing with a Profipack, so that's why we have these pre-cut masks for landing gear wheels and for the canopy as well, which is a really nice thing to have. It is really great upgrade for the painting and assembly experience. Next we also have the PE thread. It's also a traditional product for Eduard. As you can see, it's pre-painted. We have also several types of the instrument panel. We have seat belts, we have some external parts, so a lot of things which will actually improve the appearance of your aircraft. And note that we also have the glazing on the dials, which is a really good thing to have in 1/48 scale in my opinion. Next we continue with the special insert here with erratas, I guess. So as you can see, we have some corrections to the engine assembly, to the wing assembly, and here to the landing gear assembly. So yes, all these subframes were actually meant to be used for the landing gear and also for the engine support, as far as you can see, but we'll talk about this a bit later when we will be checking the assembly manual. Now I would like to show this plastic bag as well, because here we have decals. And to be honest, the choice of or amount of the decal sheets is really surprising for Profipack, because we get 3 of them. And as you can guess, they are printed in Eduard, so there is no need to worry about the quality problems. But it's still interesting to see what is actually copied with help of decals. So I suggest we start with the biggest one, because it is dedicated to all main symbols for 6 marking options. And here you can take a closer look. So maybe some of the symbols can be replicated with masking and maybe with some templates, but I think these decals also have place to be. And if I zoom in here, you can take a closer look at what we actually have. So those are white symbols. Here we have also some decals for the cockpit, surprisingly. So as I always say, it's really weird to use decals instead of P parts, but some modelers still do this. I'm not sure why. Maybe they don't like P parts, or they are a bit tricky for them, who knows, but you have them and you're notified about this, let's say, in this video. Next we continue with a small errata decals sheet, which is provided to you this line. I guess it will be used for the coding maybe. And then there is one more with the stars and 22 number. Oops. So here we have all of them, and again, as I said, you can replicate this with masks, but it will be your decision whether you would like to. And next we continue with assembly manual. So this one is printed in form of large color printed brochure with a short history note on the first page. Next we continue here on the first page with the parts map, and blue color means that these parts will not be used, and as you can see, not that many parts will actually stay on the spruce. Assembly process starts with the cockpit, and note that here you're given the choice whether you would like to use the P parts or decals, whether you would like to copy the early version or the late version. It will also define the choice of the parts for the pilot seat. Next we continue with the Cockpit 4. We assemble the instrument panel and modify the side consoles with help of P parts. Then we assemble everything together. Here we continue with more parts for the controls on the central column. Here we start working on the this subframe for the engine, as far as I can guess. And it's really interesting that interior is actually that detailed out of the box. even though I can, let's say, predict that Eduard does not propose any panel openings, but we will see. So here we continue with joining fuselage halves together, installing this subframe, which will also serve as a wing support. Here we assemble the landing gear system, so do not hurry with it because it's a bit tricky design, but I guess with some Eduard engineering it should be easy to assemble and to work with. And maybe I just skipped, nope. So here we have masking guide, surprisingly, and then we start assembling the rear landing gear wheel, front or main landing gear wheels as well. I guess you will be able also to upgrade them with resin parts if you would like to. Here we assemble both wings. As you remember, we have separate ailerons, tail wings here, engine assembly. Then we decide which cowling we will have to build. Your choice will depend on the marking option you choose. Then you assemble wings and also install elevators and rudder. And here on the last steps you will have to decide whether you would like to have an open canopy or closed. Now you install the propeller and also some antennas which will be under fuselage. By the way, note that the cowling should not be, I usually do not recommend to glue it into the plates because this way you can easily remove it from the model and expose the engine underneath, but it's your decision whether you would like to go this way. So, first marking option comes from December 1940. Here we continue with two more, so November 1941 and April 1942. These ones are a bit more classic, I would say, but this red cross might be an interesting choice to copy. These two are definitely classic markings for the Wildcat. They are coming from December 1941 and May 1942. And here we have one more with June 1942. Surprisingly, there is no stenciling guide. I guess it will be provided as a separate, maybe, download, which will give you a better understanding where to place all these writings, because I don't see it here. But as for the whole kit, it should be already available and you can get it from official Eduard website. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such release. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!